supervised visits are still ongoing, is that correct?
No, they're not.
My son told me he climbed 30 feet up a tree to get away from her.
Show cause regarding Mr. Mason, indicating that he has denied some visits. Mr. Mason, would you please raise your right hand?
I do.
All right, so you received this show cause violation, sir?
Yes, sir.
It indicates that you have denied some parenting time. What is your response to that, sir?
I have denied parenting time to the effect that Miss Brink has been heavily struggling with mental health issues. And the last visit my son had on April 14th, he called me in tears to come pick him up because his mom was chasing him around. He said he was afraid she was going to kill him and he had to climb a tree to get away from her.
That was in April, sir?
She was supposed to be supervised by her parents. According to my son, nobody was supervising. And that I know of, she has nobody to supervise the visits.
That's gonna be my next question, is that the supervised visits are still ongoing, is that correct?
No, they're not.
All right, let me talk to him, Ms. Brink, and then I will get to you. So, sir, do you believe that the supervised visits are still ongoing, or that is no longer the case?
There's nobody to supervise them, Your Honor.
Well, I'm asking you if you think the order indicates that there must be supervised visits at this time.
Yes, there must be supervised visits.
Isn't it?
According to
You had, hold on, ma'am.
okay.
Isn't it true you had a mediation agreement at one point, sir?
Yes.
All right, so I see that mediation agreement. It indicated that there's an agreement to continue supervised visits until Chelsea is no longer on parole. And it says she agrees to work on obtaining a letter regarding her ability to care for a child. Supervised visits from 4 to 7. Then another mediation in 6 months. So, sir, is it your position that that agreement is that supervised visits would continue after that 6 months when she was off parole?
Yes.
And did the two of you ever return to mediation to have any other discussions or not?
No.
So what is your position at this time then regarding parenting time?
I would agree to supervise parenting time if it's through an agency that is capable of supervising. She has the same agreement with her daughter.
Have you filed any motions after this happened to change parenting time or
I have
address
not.
these?
I have not.
So it's your position at this time that you're not going to allow any parenting time until there is supervised parenting time, but you do not want it supervised by her parents?
As far as I know, they were not supervising. Nobody was.
Yes, they were.
You know how long that was going on for?
A couple of months.
They were always.
So,
Ms.
Ms.
Brink, hold on. Ms. Brink, several times I've asked you just to hold on. You're going to have your turn. So when you chime in, it's not helpful. Okay. Thank you. All right, Mr. Mason.
So, Your Honor, that last time on April 14th, I asked my son when I picked him up, I said, well, what did your grandpa and grandma do? Because she was laying on the ground pretending to be dead a couple of times, according to my son. And he said that his grandfather came out of the front door, yelled, "What are you doing?" and then went back inside. So as far as I'm concerned, there was no supervision of the visit.
It was at their residence though, and they were present?
Yes. Yep. But they remained inside for an hour while this occurred. My son told me he climbed 30 feet up a tree to get away from her. And there was no intervention from her parents.
And your son is
9.5.
9.5 this time? Okay. All right. Thank you. Ms. Brink, could you please raise your right hand? Do you solemnly swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, sir.
So let's start first with this incident that he's claiming is being alleged on April 14th. Do you have anything you want to say regarding that?
Yes.
Okay. What do you want to tell me?
We were playing tag.
Okay. Mr. Mason has raised an issue that your son was scared and he had to climb up a tree and was worried that you were going to hurt him. Is that accurate and inaccurate?
No, that's inaccurate.
What was going on, man?
We were playing tag and he made a decision to climb a tree.
And how about to the allegations that your parenting time is not being supervised
My parents were always present.
at all of your visits?
Yes, sir.
And you've not had any visits then since that time in April, is that correct?
Correct.
So you agree that supervised visits are still required, or do you disagree with that?
I was under the impression that the supervision ended at the end of my parole.
All right. But have your visits been supervised even after parole ended?
I lived with my parents, so yeah, they were there.
All right. Do you still live with your parents?
No, sir.
Pardon?
No.
You do not? Okay. If you had parenting time that needed to be supervised, who would supervise your parenting time?
Well, prior to the end of my parole, Bill was supervising them or my parents could.
I think what we need to do is probably have an evidentiary hearing. I think we need additional time to address these matters and perhaps have some testimony from some other individuals. I think it'd be helpful if Mr. Mason's alleging there's been lack of supervision. It would be helpful to have Ms. Brink's parents able to testify as to whether or not they've been supervising during those times. What I'm going to do is set the matter for a 1-hour evidentiary hearing on September 13th at 11 a.m. That'll be by Zoom. Ms. Brink, do you see any issue in having your parents appear by Zoom that day to testify?
No, sir.
Is there any request from the parties for me to do a interview with the minor child?
No, sir.
No, Your
Mr.
Honor.
Mason, would you like me to speak to your child
Your Honor.
regarding his preference? No?
Excuse me, I didn't hear that part.
Well, do you want me to speak to him regarding his preference in this matter?
You could.
Okay.
That's fine.
I mean, given his age, I think he's able to express a preference and shed some light on the situation. So I would do a interview with the minor child at 10:45. Someone would need to bring him here to the court that is not going to be involved in the hearing so that I can meet with him at 10:45.
Okay, I can make arrangements for that.
And then just again, Mr. Mason, at this time, you are not willing to have her parents supervise time. You want an agency?
Yes. Again, she already has meetings set up with her daughter in Traverse City once a month for a supervised visit. And to give you a little background on why I'm as staunch as I am on this, Miss Brink just got done spending 2 or 3 weeks at War Memorial Hospital in the UP, where she was court ordered for mental health help and evaluation. She's only been out for about a week. Just to give you some background on why I've done what I've done.
But that happened after the fact.
Well, obviously, yeah, that impacts what we're going to do moving forward potentially. So, Ms. Brink, are you having some visitation at Safe Haven in Traverse City with another child?
No, I am not.
Mr. Mason, is that what you thought? She was doing it in Traverse City at a facility there?
Yes, that's where it's set up.
Right. Ms. Brink, is that not accurate? Is it a different facility or there is nothing set up?
Those visits have also been, I also filed a motion on that matter also, sir.
All right, what county is that in?
Otsego.
So, Mr. Mason, what I get from you is that you are requesting some type of modification to the parenting time, given the recent changes. Is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
So at the hearing on the show cause, we'll also address that, whether or not the parenting time should be modified. So both parties should be prepared to make any arguments they want to make on any modification to the parenting time. It sounds though, Mr. Mason, that if she were able to set up some time at Safe Haven prior to the hearing, you would be okay with that. Is that correct?
Wouldn't that be going back?
Yes.
So I'm not in a position because we haven't had a full hearing to make a determination as to what should happen at this time. But I will indicate, Ms. Brink, that Mr. Mason has said that if you do set up some time at Safe Haven, he would be willing to accommodate that. On the 13th, we'll determine whether or not his denial of parenting time is with or without good cause. If it's without good cause, then there would be makeup parenting time ordered. If it is with good cause, there would not be makeup parenting time. But in the meantime, it sounds as if at least there is a way to have some parenting time prior to that hearing in order to go through Safe Haven. So we're going to adjourn this matter then to an evidentiary hearing on September 13th to address the show cause as well as to address whether or not it is appropriate to modify the parenting time. You have any questions, Mr. Mason?
No, Your Honor.
Ms. Brink, do you have any questions?
No, sir.
All right. Thank you both for appearing. That does conclude your matter.